Welcome to Tablet Guide. Today we are taking a look at the new iPad Air from Apple. Apple just launched a new device using the famous M1 chip. The iPad Air 2022 model is here. And thanks to its new chipset, it's now as powerful as the iPad Pro, all while being less expensive. Of course, Apple made additional improvements and we are going to tell you all about it. But first, let's begin with unboxing the iPad Air. As always with Apple products, the iPad Air comes in a nice looking minimalistic box. You will find the tablet, a quick starting guide and stickers. In stark contrast to its iPhone lineup, there's even a charger and a cable included. Apple is not using any plastic for the packaging materials, which is really nice. The new iPad Air is using the same design as the old model. It's a high quality body made from recycled aluminium. The device is pleasant to hold and only 6 mm thin. Only the camera bump sticks out and makes the device overall a little thicker, but most people will use a case on their iPad anyway. The bezels of the display are small enough so the screen can make use of the real estate, but big enough to hold the tablet comfortably. The build quality overall is amazing. The device just gives you the impression that it will last really long. On the side you will find a magnet for snapping your Apple Pencil too. On the back there are the smart connector pins for accessories like the Magic Keyboard, and on the bottom you will find the USB-C port. And here is the first key difference to the old iPad Air. The USB-C port is now double the speed and therefore can make better use of docking stations or attached storage options. The power button also serves as a fingerprint reader for Touch ID, which works really snappy. So far, the new iPad Air doesn't seem to be all that different to its predecessor. It's when you start looking at performance numbers that you realize that the new iPad Air is a major leap forward compared to the old model. The M1 chip is just crazy fast. We all know that by now. Looking at scores from Geekbench 5 gives us a clearer picture. The iPad Air 2022 gets 7,299 points. That's almost twice as fast as the old iPad Air with its 4,209 points. The same goes when we look at GPU results. The new shiny M1 iPad Air gets a result that's more than twice as good with 21,043 points. Also, the new iPad Air gets double the RAM and now has 8 GB to play around with. That's plenty enough, even for heavy multitasking. There's no way to get this iPad to slow down. No matter how much heavy multitasking you're doing, everything just feels as snappy as it gets. But that was already true for the iPad 2020 model. Certain workflows can benefit from the additional horsepower though. If you do heavy photo editing or video editing on the new iPad Air, it really shines. Here in Adobe Premiere Rush, even 4K video files don't make it sweat. Same goes for high-end gaming. Even a game like Genshin Impact on highest settings is not concerning the M1 chip. It's hard to describe how incredible it is that you get the M1 chip in this small $599 tablet. A chip that outclasses any current Android tablet and is even faster than most Windows laptops out there, even if they cost twice as much money. It's also the same chip that powers the current MacBook Air and iMacs, but in the palm of your hand. If you pair it with a keyboard, you do really get a great productive device. For that, Apple wants you to buy their expensive but well-built Magic Keyboard. And thanks to the great software selection of iPadOS, there is an app for every use case, so this can actually replace your laptop. The iPad Air comes with iPadOS 15.4 pre-installed. Typical for Apple, you can expect years of software updates, and thanks to the power of the M1 chip, the iPad shouldn't slow down in the coming years. Here we do need to mention a single but major weak point of the new iPad Air. The basic model only comes with 64 GB of storage, which just doesn't really make sense for such a powerful device. The problem is there's no 128 GB option. So if you do need more local storage, you would need to pay a hefty fee for an upgrade to 256 GB of storage. The Retina IPS display is unchanged from the previous iPad Air. But even 2 years later, with its resolution of 2360 by 1640 pixels and True Tone capabilities, it is still looking gorgeous. With the True Tone feature, the display automatically changes the brightness and color temperature of the screen depending on the ambient light. The contrast ratio of about 1500 to 1 is great, and so is the wide color gamut it can display. You can even use the display in sunlight thanks to its anti-reflective coating and high 500 nits peak brightness. Another plus point is the low minimal brightness. You can comfortably use it at night without blinding yourself. Just like the previous iPad Air, the new model is also compatible with the Apple Pencil 2. If you have never used one of the recent iPads with the Apple Pencil 2, then you really need to try it. The experience is just great. Everything feels intuitive and pleasant. Unfortunately, the new iPad Air only uses a 60Hz refresh rate for its screen. If you want the 120Hz ProMotion screen, you need to buy the pricier iPad Pro. The rear camera is also one of the many aspects that is unchanged from the older model. It uses the same 12 megapixel sensor with an aperture of 1.8 and produces nice looking pictures in well lit conditions, but falls behind the current iPhones in terms of picture quality. The selfie camera, on the other hand, is brand new and more exciting in terms of innovation. It's a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera, which for the first time in the iPad Air lineup supports center stage. That means that the camera is automatically reframing the picture depending on where you are in a video call. In this new work from home age, this is a handy feature, and it seems to work really well. Furthermore, the image quality is decent and makes the iPad overall a great little device for doing video chatting. Apple also left the speakers unchanged from the old iPad Air, and for good reason. The sound quality that the speakers deliver is tremendous. Apple tries to fool you with the 4 speaker grills, even though there are only 2 of them inside. They still offer a clean stereo experience, decent bass for its size, and it gets immensely loud without distorting your music. Here's an example. Just like with the old model, there's no headphone jack, so you will need to use Bluetooth headphones or make use of the USB-C port for attaching headphones. The new iPad Air gains so much performance that you might think that the battery life is going to suffer a big impact. Luckily, that is not the case. The battery life seems to be a little shorter than the old model, but is still good enough. With a typical mixed use of web surfing, watching videos, some light gaming, you can expect 9 to 10 hours. If you use the included 20-watt charger, you can charge the iPad in about 2.5 hours from 0 to 100%. The iPad Air supports recharging up to 30 watts, so you can even recharge it faster. So before doing our summary of the new iPad Air, we want to give you a little comparison between the old iPad Air as well as the current iPad Pro, so you can decide for yourself if the old model is still a better deal for you, or you might even want to get the more expensive iPad Pro instead. The 2022 model of the iPad Air has the following advantages over the old model. So other than the huge performance boost thanks to the M1 chip, the other changes are more on the subtle side. And here are the benefits that the current iPad Pro offers compared to the new iPad Air. As you can see, the iPad Pro offers quite a lot more features compared to the iPad Air. The new iPad Air is just blazing fast. It's the cheapest device that offers Apple's well-respected M1 chip. So for just $599, you get the same compute performance as the iPad Pro, the MacBook Air, or even the current iMac lineup. You also get a beautiful screen to look at, a great build quality, and speakers that get loud and sound nice. If you add a keyboard, and an external monitor, you can really get productive and use all its horsepowers for stuff like photo or video editing. If you do plan to use the iPad Air mostly for professional use cases, then maybe investing $200 more for the iPad Pro is a good idea, as it offers some real key benefits over the iPad Air. But if you just want the highest performance you can get for $599 and don't mind the small storage size, then there's just no other option. The iPad Air 2022 is the best tablet in its price class. And that pretty much wraps it up for today. I hope you liked our review. What do you think about the iPad Air? Just leave a comment down below. And don't forget to subscribe if you don't want to miss our future videos. So see you next time.